Doing that because the paragraph now has been substantially rewritten following amendments accepted by the International Commission. So that paragraph is no longer relevant. So I'm asking not to vote on that paragraph. Is that understood? But the third paragraph is still being put to the vote, which is for Left Unity not to take a position today on how to vote in the eventuality of a referendum, but to leave that to a conference, a policy conference, if and when a referendum is called. And I think it's important because although we may be united in terms of the characterisation we may have of the European Union as being a boss's club, as being an essential tool for implementing austerity and neoliberalism and driving down the conditions of the working class and the poor across the whole of Europe, obviously there are divisions. Stuart just said now that in the eventuality of a referendum he would be in favour of abstention. And quite clearly it's going to be a very difficult situation to judge how to vote because of the overwhelmingly racist and xenophobic campaign now being launched by the right wing in UKIP and the right wing of the Tory party against Europe. And some sections of the left as well saying, well, we've got to withdraw because we've got to have British jobs for British workers. This is something which some trade unionists and some others on the left are arguing for. So therefore, if and when a referendum is called, if the Tories, unfortunately, if they are elected and they do call a referendum, then we will have to have a very detailed discussion throughout the organisation, throughout Left Unity, to win and to have an agreement on how we should vote, or at least an understanding that and an acceptance of the majority decision that the Left Unity needs to have a political position, how to vote and what sort of campaign we should run. And that's the purpose of the amendment at this stage. So I would urge you to vote for it.
Okay, for your information, I've been made aware that Amendment A3 from Liverpool has been accepted by the drafters of the Policy Commission, and Amendment A5 from Ed Bober and Brian Green has also been accepted by the Policy Commission. Is everyone clear on that? So they go straight into the document. They've been. Is that clear with everyone? They've been accepted. Okay. So with that, we're now going to take a reply from the Policy Commission to the debate at this stage, and then we're going to. Oh, sorry, we do have some time for floor speakers for 8 minutes.
Why don't we use the opportunity to take some of the other things that was agreed when we discussed standing?
Because we're taking that next.
We're aware of the decision this morning that was to move motion G and G1 into this session, so they're on the order book, but at the moment we're running through the order from in the beginning of the international session.
Obviously, if there are no speakers for the general discussion, then we can move straight on, but it didn't say that we would take out the general discussion, it was adding something else in.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
yes,
and this session is not over.
And this session isn't over, it's underway. So if you help us, then we can get through it and we'll be on to Ukraine in no time. So what I suggest is that if there are any speakers who would like to speak against any of the amendments, so that's Amendment A1, A2 or A4. Yes? Anyone is speaking against the amendments? Okay. One, two, yep, and no, sorry, it was here. Okay, yeah.
Well, we could just take two.
Hello, conference. I hope that volume is just about okay for you. Ian McNee from participating in the Wolverhampton branch, but living in Wolverhampton, which is very different. I'd like to speak against Amendment A1 on this. I think it's. I'd agree with the comments of of Richard that the detail of this doesn't really fit within the context of the document. However, there are the way the quantity of detail and the issues that have been brought into this go beyond that. In particular, the question of our attitude towards the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, and the role of organisations like the Free Syrian Army. We have to. I'm absolutely fully supportive of us having a discussion about the question of the positive developments in the autonomous Kurdish cantons across the region, but the question which is not posed in Syria right now is the democratic socialist revolution in Syria. It is a question of imperialism rolling back previous gains the people of the Middle East have made, and rolling back the gains that were made through the Arab Spring. They've already overturned the revolution in the democratic revolution in Egypt. They've intervened in Libya with dreadful consequences, basically the fragmentation of the country. And this is precisely by supporting the fall of the Assad regime now. That is precisely what we will see in Syria if imperialism succeeds in its war aims there. We will see the devastation of the country. We will not see the Kurdish people rising up with the phantom Free Syrian Army to create some kind of socialist democratic republic there, comrades. Please vote against Amendment A1.
I want to speak against A1 as well, drawing attention to two aspects in point B, where it asks for advanced heavy weapons from the British government without strings attached. We are an anti-imperialist party. This is proposing a red line which must not be crossed. And further to that, in section E, where we are asking for NATO members to act to restrain Turkey, can I remind you that we congratulated ourselves this morning for our opposition to NATO, for our campaigning against the NATO summit, and for our involvement in the counter-summit. So another red line. We can't cross these. Please vote against Amendment A1.
Sorry, just I've noticed that other people have joined the queue, but the speakers list is closed at 5 people.
It's four people. Yeah, and we're going to come to it, but at the moment we're still in the first bit of the international session, which is amendments to the original policy commission, document, and we're just going to have 2 more speakers, I think, because it was 8 minutes in total.
Mike MacNair, Oxford, and also Communist Platform supporter. I agree with the opposition to Amendment A1, but I'm also here speaking mainly on opposition to Amendment A4. Yeah? We adopted policy in March against withdrawal from the European Union. Yeah? The idea that there is a non-UKIPite policy of voting yes in a referendum called by the Tories in relation to withdrawal from the European Union is a complete illusion. And so Comrade Fred's proposal, which attempts to kick the question down the road, is a profound political mistake. Because instead of left unity standing side by side with workers and the left in the rest of Europe, it attempts to avoid the question, to put off the question whether we should call for a vote for withdrawal from the EU or not, and that's evasive. And it's, in effect, by being evasive at this stage of the political argument, it will put us in a much weaker position when we come into an actual organised referendum campaign.
Okay. We need to have a balanced debate, so we need to take a woman comrade next. But
Hi, I'm Anna from Brighton. I'll just be really brief. I just would urge support for Amendment A1. I agree that there may be... I've been told we can't amend amendments, so I can see where there are problematic bits about the advanced heavy weaponry from the British government, so I can see why that's a problem. But other than that, I would urge Conference to take that amendment. I think it is really important to support the Kurds, to support people fighting against genocide. And there are several comrades, Kurdish socialists, who are appalled at the left and how no one is supporting them, and how of course we're anti-war, of course we're anti-imperialism. But to say because we're anti-imperialism, we're going to let a minority have genocide committed against them, and people I know who are right-wing, my right-wing friends, are going on marches against genocide, and the left-wing people aren't, I find that appalling. So yes, I can see there's problems with arming them from the British government, but I would urge comrades to still support this amendment, because I think it is important we show solidarity to oppressed minorities, and that's what we're on the left for.
So we have actually had 4 speakers, so so that does take up our 8 minutes, Ollie, sorry. So I'm afraid we are going to have to move on. So we now take the Commission to reply for 3 minutes.
Okay, well thanks very much for the discussion, comrades. Andrew Bergin from the International Commission. The report attempts to build on the basic principles that we outlined at our